CNF Worldwide, for nomads everywhere.
All right.
Hey, good morning everybody. Rick Carter, CNF Worldwide, and today we find ourselves in the seriously beautiful neighborhood of Cape Charles, a lovely little town on the lower eastern shore of Virginia, Delmarva Peninsula, and we are at the appropriately named Cape Charles Brewing with Rachel Diamond.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good
Lovely
to see
meet
you again.
you. We stopped in here, about 2 weeks ago and tried a few of your beers, and that was a good call, I got to say. It was really good. So we travel all over the country, and literally I just spent 3 days in Vermont, New Hampshire, visiting breweries there, and we won't go into the whole laundry list of where we've been this year, but we seek out locally owned craft breweries, preferably family owned, in small, sort of out of the way communities.
Come to the right spot.
And from what my research online has shown me that this is absolutely checks all the boxes.
Yes.
Local craft brewery.
Yes.
Family owned.
Family owned, family operated. Using as many local products as possible.
So let's start from the very beginning.
Sure.
Because you weren't born into a brewing family.
No.
Tell me how the whole idea came about for Cape Charles Brewing and how your family built this beautiful place.
Okay, so it really started about 2.5 years ago. It took about 2.5 years from concept to fruition. My father, Mark Marshall, one of the primaries in our business, he got a home brewing kit for Christmas one year, and it kind of started as a hobby and just totally turned to an obsession. So that's a lot of people's stories, but that's kind of ours too. So about 2 years ago, Father's Day weekend, I'm a former teacher. I lived in the Outer Banks for about 10 years, my husband and I and my son. And we visited my father on Father's Day, and we had a brew day. He would always kind of try and convince me to come on up. He'd say, I've got the yeast, I got the grain, I got everything. You ready to brew? And sure enough, went up there for Father's Day, did that. And of course, we're drinking craft beer that day. Some of our favorite local breweries. By the end of that evening, we had a countertop that was strewn about with sticky notes and memo pads on how we were going to make this happen.
And how long ago was this?
This was about 2 years ago, 2016 Father's Day.
So would you call that night the pivotal point in this?
Absolutely, 100%. My father was reaching close to reaching the end of his career, 32 years in law enforcement.
Right.
So he was close to reaching the end and not really sure what he wanted to do after retirement. And, I had just had my son, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to continue on doing with my life. And so what better thing to do than open a brewery? Let's dive in, let's do it. So we love the beer, so we've got the passion. That was from the get-go, we had that. So little did we know, the next day we called my Uncle Chris, who is also one of the owners, Chris Marshall. I call him my funkle. He doesn't like that, but anyways, he's my fun uncle. So we called him the next day, told him about our idea, and little did we know he had already had, this idea as well. So he really wanted to do this as well.
Was he a home brewer too?
He was not a home brewer, but passionate about beer. So. Yes. So we, trying to get our ducks in line, talking to the rest of the family.
Well, your uncle Chris, before the brewery, what was his occupation? Your dad was law enforcement.
Yes. So Chris, he works for he's a cookie distributor. So my grandmother and him had a very successful business here in Cape Charles called Delisheries. Prior to that, my grandmother owned a bakery in Virginia Beach called the Sugar Plum Bakery. And, about 20 years ago, she moved to the shore along with the rest of the family, my Uncle Chris. Yeah. And we were kind of the last members of the family to get over here. So it was a great way to get closer to the family with, geographically. It was a great way to get closer that way, and also, starting something fun and new and a new venture for all of us, something exciting.
Your dad wanted to brew beer, your uncle wanted to brew beer, you wanted to brew beer.
Yes.
It pulled everybody back into the same location.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, your husband's also involved in the brewery.
Yes, absolutely. So that Father's Day, I called my husband the next morning, and of course he's back home in the Outer Banks working, and I called him and I was like, guess what? We're gonna open a brewery. It's gonna be all family, mom and dad and Chris, and it's just gonna be awesome. We're gonna make this happen. It's gonna be great. We're gonna call it Cape Charles Brewing Company. And he's tired. He's been working a lot, and he said, Rachel, that sounds like a effing fairy tale. I'm not going to say the word because we're on camera here, but
it's a family show.
But yeah, it's a family show. But so we had to name a beer after him, and we have one. It's called the Heffin' Fairy Tale. It's a Hefeweizen. So we had to name a beer after him, but we had to prove him wrong with that one.
So from that Father's Day when you guys made the decision, yeah, we're going to do this. How long did it take from that point till you were able to open the doors here at Cape Charles?
About 2 years from concept to fruition. So from that time, it took us approximately 2 years, and we got hung up in
so
obviously funding and permits.
There's a million home brewers out there that think, you know what, I want to open a brewery.
Yeah.
So take 2 minutes and walk us through what happened in those 2 years till you were open for business.
Obviously, we had to find an appropriate location.
Right.
So we had to find a great location. We knew we wanted it in Cape Charles. There was no doubt in our mind. The location, the town, everything about Cape Charles is just, it's just quaint and beautiful, and it's really coming to life. And I feel like
not to interrupt, but for those of you who have never been down the eastern shore of Virginia, the lower part of the Delmarva Peninsula, do yourself a favor and take a drive on a sunny day.
Yes.
It's stunningly beautiful here.
Yes, it is. Yes. It's raw, it's authentic, and it's just so beautiful. Nature, we have a lot of it. Yeah. If you saw the sign as you're coming across the Bay Bridge, it's like, you'll love our nature because there's nothing else. Just kidding. We've got a brewery here, and Cape Charles is great.
The funny thing is, I actually stopped at the rest area this morning, coming back over from Virginia Beach just to grab a few of their brochures. And a gentleman got me as soon as I walked in the door and said, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Cape Charles. And I'm like, I don't know my way around, but I want to grab some pamphlets. He goes, oh, I live in Cape Charles. I said, oh, that's great. He goes, you should try our food. I said, well, I've already tried your beer, so I'll come try your food too.
Yeah, and our food is excellent too.
But, so back to what you were telling us is that 2-year period between the decision to start a brewery and actually getting the doors open.
So we had, obviously finding the funding to start the business, to get ourselves going. First of all, the location was key, finding the funding. We got a grant, which was wonderful. It's actually a loan, so it's
through what like through county or state?
So Virginia Tourism was huge in helping us find that. So it's a grant, or a loan rather, that we got, and we were able to acquire. I think only 1 or 2 businesses in the whole state get that. So, it's just amazing.
Was that part of like a state program to promote tourism on the Eastern Shore?
Absolutely. And we were named #1 growing town in the state of Virginia. So, for a rural town.
So we should tell people, like, Route 13, which runs, all the way down the Eastern Shore, passes like a mile away from your front door.
Yeah.
So anybody who's coming from Philadelphia and points north and up in Eastern Shore of Maryland to Virginia Beach, they pass literally almost right past you.
Yeah. It's just getting the word out right now that we exist, So doing stuff like this, of course. Also our distribution right now, that's starting to get some recognition in the area. So
tell us about your focus, because you've got this beautiful, you can only see, you guys are seeing a small portion of this very large, very lovely tap room here with
very
plenty,
light and airy.
Very light and airy, exactly.
Yep.
But then you guys are also doing quite well on the distribution end. So tell us about how your focus on making this a destination brewery as well as distributing your beers.
So from the get-go, we knew that we had to market this as a destination brewery. That we had to be the whole package to get people to come out here. We have to have food. Of course, half the family was like, we don't really want to tamper in the food industry portion of that. That's a whole different ball game. And then, of course, the other half was like, absolutely. We will. It's going to be detrimental for us to have the restaurant here. So, of course, we wanted to market it as a destination. We wanted to market the whole town, not just Cape Charles Brewing Company, but we knew that we had to offer more than just great beer. We also have to, have excellent service, which we do. We have a great reputation. Also, our food has to be excellent. Small menu, as much.
Well, tell us about the food component, and I'll give you a little background to the question. Is a lot of places we go, and the rules, the regulations vary wildly from state to state about what local craft brewers can and can't do, or what they must and must not do. But a lot of places they don't do food at all. They have food trucks and that kind of thing. What led you guys to the decision that you really needed to prepare food in the tap room?
Obviously, we wanted to be a destination, so we knew that if people came to our brewery and they were able to grab a bite to eat, they're going to order another pint. You know, if you can have a beer that's 7%, you're going to probably need to eat something in between another beer. So having that, we actually, the first week we were open, we did not have, actually the first several weeks, we did not have our kitchen up and going yet. We had a food truck outside, which was wonderful. Gordo's taco truck. They were incredible. They're local. They park down at the Bay Avenue in the summertime, so they hit all the beach traffic and stuff like that. And they have a great following. Excellent tacos.
Shout out to Gordo's.
Shout out to Gordo's. Yes. So they were here the first couple weeks, but as soon as our kitchen opened, we watched our beer sales skyrocket. I mean, 40%. We watched our beer sales just shoot up because people were able to grab a pretzel and grab a burger. So
far now, how long has it been since your tap room opened?
We opened June the 13th of 2018.
So not quite a year yet.
Not quite a year. Yep, just shy.
So how was that first summer? Did you get much tourist traffic?
Oh yeah.
Discovering you?
So we literally, when we opened our doors, we opened our doors right in the middle of peak season here. And, what better way to learn than right when it's
under fire?
Yes. The place is burning and we're all just, no.
Pour faster.
Yes,
Brew faster.
exactly. So it was a great summer. But, this winter we did watch it kind of tamper down a little bit after Labor Day. But we really contribute a lot of our success to the support from the locals. Not just here in Cape Charles, the whole shore, Virginia Beach. I mean, the fact that we have been distributing across the bay, and people try our beers over there.
When I talked to you the first time here, you guys gave me some pretty dramatic numbers for a brewery that hasn't even been open for a full year yet.
Yeah, so we are in, I want to say, don't hold me to this, it's like 127 restaurants. It could be higher now. I mean, we're every single day we're adding to our list of beers, or of restaurants that have our beers. And that's just in the Hampton Roads area. So we just signed on with Imprice, which is a distributing company out of Richmond. So that's all of that area. So we are pleased to get the word out, and we just purchased a canning line this winter, so we will be canning our beers. And actually, I have some of the cans back there in the crowler machine that I'll show you a little later.
But right now, ahead of the canning line, obviously people can come into the tap room and get them.
Absolutely.
They can get them in crowlers and growlers.
So we're selling our crowlers right here. You can get any beer that we have on tap. You can get any of our beers canned right here. Also our growlers. These are awesome.
So with your canning line though, so then you'll be selling it to like package stores where I could go in and
absolutely.
pick up a 4-pack of one of your beers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be doing 16-ounce cans. The beers that we're going to start out canning are going to be our Cobb Island IPA, which is a West Coast style IPA brewed with Centennial hops. It's incredible. It's just a nice, clean, crisp, your quintessential West Coast IPA. It's delicious.
Walk us through like your flagship beers, your regulars.
So all of our beers have, we have interesting names for them, but the majority, our whole concept, we're kind of basing it around the barrier islands. We have raw, natural barrier islands that are uninhabited, that once were inhabited, but of course nature,
it does what it does.
It does what it does. It's every year the islands change. So they're uninhabited right now, but they are owned by the Nature Conservancy, which we're huge fans of. So we did a benefit for the Nature Conservancy, and of course save our oyster shells and such to put back into the bay for making our bay clean. as this is our, this is our community. So got to give back a little bit. But getting back to our beers, our flagship beers are typically, if they have an island name, they have graduated to
flagship status.
They have graduated to flagship status. So we have the Assateague Island, which is a little bit north of here in Chincoteague. We have the Fisherman Island, which is the very first island you get on once you cross the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel from Virginia Beach. That's the very first island. It used to be, I'm not sure if it still is, but it used to be the largest brown pelican sanctuary in the actually, I'm not sure if it was the United States or the world, don't hold me to that. But Fisherman, that was Fisherman Island. That's our double IPA. That one is 8.2%, has a lot of hops. It's a hopped up beer, about 100 IBUs.
Eat something with that.
Yes, absolutely. Have a pretzel, have a burger. We also have our Smith Island IPA, Smith Island Oyster Stout. That was brewed with 300 Chincoteague salt oysters.
Nice.
So the oysters did not taste good once we boiled them. So somebody had to test it out to see if it tasted good.
They sacrificed for the beer, for the good of the beer.
Yes, it's slightly briny, nice and chocolatey, malty.
Nice.
Delicious beer, and that one's out for distribution as
well. Is it
well.
on draft today?
It is. It certainly is.
Hello.
I actually have it right there in front of you, so you're welcome to take a sip of that one. Our beers are excellent. We have a nice selection of beers here.
I'll attest to that.
Yeah.
So what's the goal now? You've got this beautiful spot here, in a beautiful location, and you've got distribution rapidly growing.
Yeah.
How big do you guys want to get?
Well, obviously, we don't want to grow out of our pants too soon.
Right.
But right now, our goal is to kind of get an event space. Currently, we're doing events back in our production room, our event, and it's just kind of small. So we've acquired some train cars that we are planning on building off of.
And we'll shoot some video out there after this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd like to put a deck on them and, possibly eventually a tap room.
Nice.
So an outside tap room for our great outdoor space. We have a nice green area with a fire pit and comfy, cozy Adirondack chairs that are,
So give us a little, you've got the railroad tracks right behind your building here and the rail cars out there. Give us a little history on the town here.
So the Cape Charles really was the last stop for to get all the goods from the north to Virginia Beach, that side of the bay. So they would have ships that would come in. We have a harbor here. It's a natural deep water harbor. So people would, obviously the train cars would come in and they'd bring all the goods down to the loading docks and they'd load them and bring them out.
Take it across the bay?
Yeah, take them right across the bay. So it was the last stop. And Cape Charles was a huge hub until, train, of course, we have semis and train,
the trucks kind of replaced that.
Yeah, kind of replaced that. So Cape Charles kind of died down a little bit once that kind of died out as well. So, but Cape Charles is a very resilient town, and I would say that it's beautiful to watch something that was in need of repair, to watch it just bloom again.
So when somebody would visit Cape Charles, the town, and I took the opportunity to drive through when I stopped here a couple weeks ago, what would people find when they came into the town of Cape Charles?
So the first thing you're going to see when you turn off of 13, you're going to see Cape Charles Brewing before you even hit the town. That's the very first stop. So
look for the big tower. Stop right before you get to it.
Got a giant silo out front with our emblem on it.
Yes.
So we're the first thing you see when you come into town, but once you get past us, it slows on down to 25 miles per hour, and watch for golf carts, because we are a golf cart community.
Yes.
Lots of folks.
And I believe I read it's legal to drive your golf carts into town.
It absolutely is, yes. And we actually have a golf cart path. The town helped us with that, put a path behind our building so it leads to town so they can safely get in and out.
So is there someone in town who rents golf carts to visitors?
Yes.
So I could stay at the hotel downtown, rent a golf cart, and drive right down the path to the brewery.
Shane over at Custom Carts is a good guy to go in.
Shane at Custom Carts, Cape
go
Charles,
see
Virginia.
Him. He's a good guy to go and see.
I am so taking a weekend vacation here. It's happening.
You absolutely need to.
But you guys have a beautiful beach over there.
Yeah, so we have. So once you pass us, you'll get into downtown. You'll see beautiful older Victorian homes.
Yes.
If you go down Mason, you'll see wonderful, beautiful little boutique shops. Anything from gourmet food and wine shops to gift shops and artisan galleries. At Altitude Gallery is where we got the majority of our artwork in here. He's a incredible photographer.
Yes.
Who gets in an ultralight and flies around all over the shore and takes some amazing, beautiful pictures.
And I will take some pictures of those pictures for this because they are gorgeous. So you've got this beautiful, I hate the word quaint, but it's a quaint little small town right on the edge of the Chesapeake Bay. But if you turn around and drive the car a couple miles to the east, you're staring at the Atlantic Ocean.
That's right.
So you're on this tiny peninsula.
So the
beautiful old buildings, great food,
yes,
a great brewery.
Yes. You just said it. You took the words out of my mouth. What's more?
Not to like?
And there's lots of things to do around here as far as as I said before, nature. That's a big part of the culture here. Is obviously agriculture and the watermen.
Right.
The livelihood of a lot of the people around here is focused around the land and the water.
Fishing here
So,
and all that kind of stuff. So here at the brewery, tell us about like some of the kind of events that you guys have here.
Yeah. So we hosted our first annual Ground Dog Day event.
Ground Dog Day.
Yes, we did it on Groundhog's Day, but instead of having a groundhog, we had a dog, Cape Carlos, and who predicted the forecast. He's our weather predicting dog of the Eastern Shore, the only weather predicting dog of the Eastern Shore. So he.
Did you trademark his name?
Yeah.
You should.
So he predicted that it was going to be in early spring. We had a nice oyster roast. It was a benefit for the Nature Conservancy, who we very much are fond of. And all things that they do, especially over here on the shore, and preserving the natural uninhabited islands, which
So then on your regular like weekly or monthly basis, if a tourist is rolling down here saying, hey, let me check out this Cape Charles thing, what kind of events do you guys have like on a weekly basis?
So on a weekly basis, every Friday we have live music here from 6:30 to 9:30. Of course, you can find in the summertime, they have live concerts, free concerts in downtown at Central Park. It's a lovely, quaint little park. You keep saying, you're like, I hate the word quaint, but anyways, it is a beautiful park that they've built right in the heart of downtown Cape Charles that has a pergola, and everybody kind of comes down there drives their golf carts, parks their golf carts, brings their cooler, and
their cooler filled with crowlers of Cape Charles Brewing Company
beer.
Or
whatever delicious beverage they'd like. We also have a cidery and a distillery here in town.
I had heard that. So, we will be investigating that.
Yes. So the cidery is really actually out of Richmond. They're Busky Cider. This is one of their tasting rooms. They have a great thing going on. They're right on Mason Avenue, the same street that everybody kind of calls it Front Street because it faces the harbor. So anyways, it's on the same block. And then we also have the distillery, which opened up, all three of us actually opened up right around the same time. So it was really interesting to see that we were all it was
just
eerie.
Kind of happening all over the country now. Have you found here at Cape Charles Brewing that this has kind of become a focal point of the community now? I mean, do people come here on the regular and bring the family and bring the dog and sit outside on the patio?
And it's not just us. I feel like, sure, we're definitely a draw, but I feel like, our mantra, like I told you before, our mantra from the very beginning has been a high tide floats all ships. So if we do well, the rest of the community does well. The surrounding businesses and we all do well together.
Well, as we discussed, this is the reason CNF exists. To support the small economy, to support local businesses. And what we are finding is in all these communities, whether there be urban neighborhoods that are being reinvigorated when a brewery opens, or small towns where the brewery and maybe a new coffee shop or whatever opens and other businesses start growing up around them, that the main street recovers. And it's one of the reasons we sought you guys out. We're like,
it's such a beautiful thing. So we're we're very lucky, and we feel very blessed by the community too, to have that support and love, and so we contribute that to our fans. So
as we wrap up the interview portion of our morning here, where can people find out more about Cape Charles Brewing Company?
Go to www.capecharlesbrewing.com. Visit us on Facebook. We keep that nice and updated, so you can find out all of our local events, all the upcoming things that are happening here. So check us out.
So guys, Eastern Shore of Virginia, Cape Charles Brewing, Route 13, come down here. What is it, Route 184?
184.
Turn east toward the bay. You'll find this lovely lady, her husband, her father, her uncles, her whole family.
We'll all
Cape
be
Charles
here.
Brewing Company.
Yep.
It's well worth the trip.
Come and see us.
CNF Worldwide for nomads everywhere.
This broadcast was produced by CNF Limited for nomads everywhere. The contents of this broadcast are the property of CNF Limited. All rights are reserved. For more information about CNF publications, contact us at 305-707-4024. Find us on the web at cnfltd.com.